welcome to another evening speaking English. I remember the first time I came to France when I was 16, and I remember the excitement about coming here. Initially I was sent to France as like a punishment because I was in with a crowd that my mum thought was going to get me into trouble. And she wanted to get me away from these friends in particular. And I think clean me up a bit. And so she heard about an exchange program. And she borrowed off the mortgage and she made me a deal. She told me that if I finished my HSC, which is the final exam in high school, so A-levels, le baccalaureate, we have the high school certificate. If I finished that, she would send me on exchange to France. And so, knowing nothing about France, or about exchange, or about school in France, or about what I was getting myself into, anything, I've just said, yep, that sounds ripper, that's great, I accept, I'll go. I made the deal. I signed this little deal with my mum the devil, and I came to France. At 16 years old, I didn't speak a word of French. Not completely emotionally stable. I was very, very, very reliant on my friends back then, and then to be just, to leave them like that, to be torn away from them, and be sent to a little town like Bourg-en-Bresse where there's really nothing happening, into a high school there. The same high school where my favourite artist, Gustave Doré, actually studied. And it was very hard. Very hard. Now, I went there thinking it would be some kind of great party. And I thought, yeah, French is an easy language. I'll learn it. Je parle français. Pouvez-vous parler plus doucement? Lentement. It was all very terrible. Turns out I didn't speak a word of French. And when people spoke to me in French, I could have been talking to Martians. So there I was, 16, homesick, having incredible culture shock. I guess I still suffer from culture shock. Every time I get upset at a French bureaucrat, really, that's me having culture shock when I complain about banks or talk about the French being like children digging in a little sandpit. That's all culture shock. Maybe I'll never really get used to France or the French, but I have this memory of my first time here, and it lingers. Really, really lingers. Now, I was there in this high school where I didn't speak any French, and I had no real friends, really. I would just sort of wander from class to class. If I knew who my class was or where I was going, I couldn't follow. For the first 2 months, I couldn't follow any of the lessons. I didn't know what was happening. The mathematics was all at a level far more advanced than anything I'd done back in Australia. All the history we studied was French history, so basically just the French explaining why they lost the Second World War and why they needed help in the First World War. Just them sort of trying to justify their conduct. Never once did they talk about something interesting like colonization of Algeria. I think that's fascinating, that. But that's like a smear on French history. Anyway, my host family were beautiful. They were so lovely with me. I had never eaten properly until I'd been there, so suddenly I've come from like my mum trying to poison me every night of my life since I was born, to eating this French food with this French family. And both my host parents could cook wonderfully. One of them was a chef by trade, and the other one had done some like cooking classes just for fun, and they cooked beautifully. And I was always so well fed. But every day started the same. I would wake at 6 AM, and it was strange. The radio station that would wake me up played the same shit every day. Whatever was like number one seemed to play right then at 6:10 in the morning. And it was the same song every morning. And even now, when I hear this song, I feel like my heart stops beating, my blood runs cold. But at 6:10 I would wake up and I'd go out in the snow, and I'd wait for my bus. The bus would take me to school, and I would do 6 to 8 hours of classes, and it was just soul destroying. No one would talk to me. For weeks on end, no one would say a word to me. And it was like being invisible. It's the closest to inexistence I've ever come. And that did me a bit of damage, actually, psychologically. Moving along, I was hating my experience, and after 6 months, I couldn't bear it anymore. I was supposed to be there for 10 months, a school year. After 6, I couldn't bear it, and I ran away from home, went a bit crazy, skipped a border or two, and ended up being sent back to Australia. I won't go into the details. Now, when I got back to Australia, I thought, this is great, this is everything I've wanted. I'm back with my friends, I'm back in a country that works, and I realised, damn it, like, goddamn, Australia's boring. Life here is so easy. What am I doing here? My friends were doing the exact same thing they were doing when I'd left them. And I tried to get back in with them, to try to get back, hang out with them and stuff, but like since I'd left the group, like dynamics had all shifted, people had broken off, someone was dating someone else. And although they were all happy to see me, I couldn't get back into my old groove. I was just bored with what they were doing. I was bored with school, I was bored with my family, bored with everything, and I realised, shit, I've been living in a foreign country, speaking another language, learning a new mindset. Every day, even though it was crushingly depressing, was just more exciting than this boring comfort I experienced back home. And though I swore I would never come back to France, 2 years later I was backpacking in Europe and ended up spending a month of that just in France. And then an opportunity came up to study at Strasbourg, and I jumped on it. Then this work opportunity came up, and I gave up everything. I scrapped everything I had to be here. And even though I can have terrible days here, where I hate the country, and hate the language and the culture, I am exactly where I want to be. Like, I love this country and its funny people, and I like the struggle. I like that it's difficult. That's exactly why I'm here. And it brings me pleasure to speak French, even though I'm terrible at it. I love doing it. And all these old feelings come back now that I see my contract is about to end and I'm fighting tooth and nail for a new visa, following any way I can. And I just know I'll be heartbroken if I have to leave. Absolutely shattered. I got nothing at home to come back to. Like, I don't miss my family. I'm not particularly close with them. It would just be going straight back to my house, and I've got no job, no car. I really burned a lot of bridges to get here. Only a couple of friends I'd even, bother wanting to see again. And so I asked myself, why am I fighting so hard to be here when it is so hard? And that's just it. It's this struggle. It's this fight to be here that makes it so fulfilling. So that when I find a way to stay here, I will have really accomplished something that I've wanted for years. That's my spiel for tonight. A bit self-indulgent, but then again, all of these videos are. I'm starting to really enjoy sitting in front of a camera. Tooroo.